Good morning, everybody. I wasn't expecting to record an opinion piece today, but I'm sorry for the click-clacks in the background, the preheat in the oven to cook some lunch, but an early lunch. And I want to talk a little bit about imperfect allies, or as I think it was, as Malcolm X would call them, useful racists. But because those two terms are kind of like in the same similar vein. There's been a lot of talk about people like Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan being problematic, and frankly, over-concerted effort by liberal media. When I say liberal media, I don't mean leftist media, although some people in the left wing are like that too. I'm talking about neoliberal media, people who consider social justice and things like that the most important thing, and generally are pro austerity, and pro deregulation. They're basically conservatives. They're conservative economically with a liberal, socially liberal bent. So here's the thing. Dave Chappelle has said, and we'll start with Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle has not great opinions about trans people. He has said not great things about trans people in his humor. That is just a clean break statement. There's nothing more to add to that. Now, I would say that while some of the things he has said aren't great, one of the things I will say is that, you know, he is against gentrification. He is generally against big money. He is for things like more, social safety nets, reparations, things of that nature, black justice. He is unequivocally a left-wing person in the vast majority of his beliefs. And this leads me to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has shit opinions about vaccinations. Now, I'm sure plenty of people in the left wing, and I'm sure plenty of people like that when I listen to this might disagree with me about vaccines. I'm not here to debate vaccines. That's something I yell about with my friends in private. Not something that I want to alienate anybody here for. But the fact of the matter is that while I agree with the sentiment that, some of the things that Joe Rogan has said are wrong, and I will also say that Joe Rogan is much further to the left than I am, arguably. He is, or not more than me, but more than most. He is for universal basic income, universal basic housing, universal basic food and water, which I'm for. He is for universal health care. He's generally against big corrupt interests, and he's a dude bro. So he has dude bro brain. He's like, oh, if this person's being cool and friendly, I can have a conversation with them even though I completely disagree with everything they've ever said. Now, that, to some of my more left-wing listeners, does that kind of, or to my more of my woke scold audience, is that contradictory? A little bit, but you gotta remember, for a 50-some-year-old white dude, that is a aspect of white privilege. You can debate things that might have other people's rights and livelihoods in the balance as kind of a chill conversation. But to Joe Rogan's credit, he supports left-wing ideals, and he is time and time again, when checked on him, disagrees, saying, "Oh no, I don't think X or Y or Z." The fact of the matter is that, and why do I bring up these 2 points? It's because we on the left need to utilize imperfect allies. There's a propensity among certain people in the left wing. I'm not going to say everybody, because you have individuals like Crystal Ball, you have individuals like Kyle Kalinske, you have individuals like Vosh, you have individuals like Sam Cedar. You have individuals on in the left wing that are generally that may not agree with something that everybody that they says, but as long as the goal of being against the right wing, and by that extension fascism, little discrepancies don't matter. Now, obviously, vaccine misinformation and Dave Chappelle's on Rogan's end, and Dave Chappelle's the things he said about trans people aren't just discrepancies to those groups, and that is I 1,000% agree with you, and those will be addressed. But when we have a Supreme Court that has had at minimum one stolen seat on it, and another 2 from a president that probably shouldn't have won because of the Electoral College. The fact of the matter is and we have a completely deadlocked system of government where one half of the political spectrum is completely dead set against doing anything, and the other half, split. 80% of the people in the other party is functionally controlled opposition, because they are owned by the exact same people that own the right-wing party. People like Dave Chappelle, and especially Joe Rogan, who does have right-wingers listen to him frequently, are very, very important, because right-wingers have made the mistake of thinking because they're being canceled by the left that these people will side with them. That's not the case. Dave Chappelle grew up in a lower middle class family. He didn't grow up affluent. Joe Rogan grew up in a poor Italian family, a lower middle class Italian family. I don't know exactly all the things, but regardless, these are people that have been around people like you and I much longer in their life than they've been around people like Elon Musk and Kanye West. Also, you have to remember, Dave Chappelle was completely curb-stomped by, as was Joe Rogan, by the systems of power. They aren't, if you already have a left-wing bent, that's just going to push you further to the left. The fact of the matter is this. We, imperfect allies, especially with big platforms that they have, can do more to de-radicalize and indoctrinize people into the left and deconstruct their fascist thinking. And this left-wing propensity for kind of purity testing and dogpiling internally is, while it does kind of keep bad ideas from cropping into the left, it also, kind of lets certain groups of people get away with saying subliminally bad ideas, like Jimmy Dore and the Gray Zone. People who, spend more time shitting on the left than they do going after the right. But at the end of the day, this propensity to say everybody's got to be 100% on all the time, it's not good. And digging up people's stuff from years ago, even after they have obviously grown, is a problem. I'm not saying cancel culture isn't important or useful, because here's how I kind of look at it. If I am hearing about it, if you're saying most left-wing cancel campaign bullshit things are nonsense, especially when they're canceling people within the left. Imperfect allies are still allies against a future fascist regime that the right wing or certain elements of the right wing want to cultivate. But if I hear about it, then it could be a problem. You know? The fact that people are trying to cancel Dave Chappelle, the neoliberal media is trying to cancel Dave Chappelle, when the entire story is that he's not. They're trying to pitch the opposite to what actually happened. The people of Yellow Springs, in Dave Chappelle's hometown, or the town he lives in, were actually, in reality, fighting against the council's desire to rush through a development with a developer that had not followed the town's guidelines and was actively trying to just to gentrify the town. The people that were there at that meeting, including Dave Chappelle, were saying that it wasn't affordable enough. And Dave was saying, I'm going to pull my investment from this fucking town if you go through with this, because I'm not going to contribute to the gentrification of my home. Remember, people that may believe in social justice but don't have the economic philosophies to follow through of control of regulating the big banks, of strong social safety nets, of even something as radical as wealth, as maximum wages, which personally I am for. When I say and for those listening who are like, maximum wage, what the fuck? Maximum wage is the concept of okay, you make $500 million a year. Every dollar over that is taxed at 100%. If you're outraged that somebody can't, listen, if you can't live off of $500 million a year, you either have a shitty ass, you either are shit with money, or you aren't actually thinking about that at all. So bitch in the comments. I'm probably not going to read it, but either way, please, for the love of God, left-wing people, the right is active, the right wing is eager, and the right wing would love nothing more than to completely trounce and dismantle the left. And if we keep alienating imperfect allies, we will fail. This is not me talking to the neoliberal media. Everybody knows on our side knows that they, are shit. But what I am talking to are people who do believe in things like universal health care, that health care is a right. That things like housing is a right. That people, all these, the decommodification, things of that nature. Y'all really, really need to stop going after people who are imperfect. Because other left-wingers are not your enemy. The right wing is. And while, yes, critiquing the left wing is how we keep it strong, if more than 30% of your time is spent critiquing the left wing, you're a liability. Please, for the love of God, stop kneecapping our movement at the knees. All we need to do is do one thing: unify against the right. Unify against the right. If we unify against the right, and regardless of what we actually want the actual policy to be, the best, whatever. The great thing about left-wing debate is that the best opinions rise to the top through debate and constant conflict within the left. That I think that's valuable, and I think that's important. But what I don't think is important is kneecapping people in the left you don't like at the expense of them going after the right wing. I don't like a lot of Vash's takes. I don't think he is always great with his opinions. But there is value in having somebody like him, somebody like Zahn, somebody like... I even would say fucking Demon Mama. Not Demon Mama, Professor Flowers. I like Demon Mama. She's cool people. Sorry, I mixed it up for a second. You can't... Like, even Professor Flowers, who is objectively looking at her side and looking at the Bosch Hall side, she is I get genocidal vibes from her, low-key. And the fact of the matter is, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with that opinion if people like her and people like Luna Oi and Non-Compete and all these people shit on the right wing as much as they did the left wing. I'm not saying you have to like people. Most people in the right don't fucking like each other. But they're able to band together and be more fucking effective. Let's be fucking effective, for Christ's sake. Imperfect allies are important. We may not agree with them, we may not like them, we may not even want to implement all of their ideas, and they may not line up with ours. But by fucking God, there's strength in numbers. And while the right wing sucks and they don't know anything, and they hate each other and they don't frankly know their head from their ass, they're able to unite. And that, in our inability to unite under the common ideal of fuck fascism, is going to be the reason why left-wing policies probably won't be implemented in the next few decades. We're literally going to have to get to a point where the economy is in such a shit position, enough of the baby boomers have died that they can't stonewall us anymore, and people are angry enough that we're actually going to get these things. But what the fuck do I know? Thank you so much to my patrons for supporting me, supporting everything I do. If you want to become a patron, get access to exclusive videos, occasionally early videos, polls, game code raffles, and the like, please consider joining my Patreon at patreon.com/HIMedia. No spaces. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.